Hey guys, welcome to The Grey Escape. I'm Natalie Gray, and this show is brought to you by West Coast London. Cool clothing by someone who started their career as an artist spray painting clothing on a street corner in Ottawa, Canada. Who could it be? Me! It's me! Spoiler alert! Hello, me! Yeah, I have a life in entertainment, but I still love painting. My current collection of hand-painted clothing is inspired by fandom, Doctor Who, Sherlock, Minecraft, and more. Every item individually hand-painted by me, making each piece unique and one of a kind. So go to westcoastlondon.com and enter coupon code ESCAPE for 10% off your order. Now it's time for the show and our awesome guest. As always, I'll tell you more right after this. Originally from Canada, young comedian Mae Martin currently resides in the UK, where she's already made several appearances, not only at the legendary Edinburgh Fringe Festival, but also on national British telly. So, a bit of backstory here. In the UK, a lot of transportation involves trains. So sometimes you have to arrive early, because if you get the next train, you'd be late. So this happens to me a fair amount, as it did when I arrived really early at Mae's London address. Now, my protocol here is if I'm early, I hunt down the exact address where I'm going, and I basically just loiter in the general vicinity. And it was during this loitering that I actually bumped into Mae in front of her house on the street. So this, funnily enough, is exactly what happened with my last guest, the delightful and amazing Right Said Fred. If you haven't listened, give it a listen. You're missing out if you don't listen to Right Said Fred. Anyway, there I am on the street. I say hi to Mae, and there's always a bit of awkwardness, especially when I haven't met people before, and I had never met Mae before. So I have to explain, hey, I'm early, you know, the trains, blah, blah, blah. And I have to win them over and erase the possibility of suspicion, given that I am loitering in front of their home with a small suitcase full of gear for a podcast. Now, Mae seemed very unfazed by this, and she was happy to even start the interview early. Hello, bonus points. As I'm typing her name on my laptop, the autocorrect changes it from Mae to man. And I feel that Mae would also be unfazed by this, because part of what makes Mae Martin unique, aside from her honest, charming, and funny stand-up comedy, is the ease and transparency with which she discusses sexuality and sexual orientation. That's all I'm going to say. I proudly present the wonderful, intelligent, and possibly my new best friend, Mae Martin. Let's do it. So it was so fun to just meet you on the street in London. And you've picked the most British place.
Have I?
Your street.
Oh, I know.
It's iconically British, these row houses. And what kind of people do you see around here?
Nice, kind people. There's a guy who collects vintage cars, and he has a pink what are they called? Beetle, a Volkswagen Beetle with pink fuzzy dice in the thing. And so I've always imagined like what he's like, because I just see his cars. And then I saw him for the first time the other day, and he's the opposite of what you'd expect. He just looks like a dude.
Okay.
But yeah, he has these beautiful, very effeminate cars.
Huh. Did you talk to him?
I didn't. Next time I'm gonna go. He covers them in like, I can only describe it as cellophane. Like he wraps up his cars. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's the car guy.
Do you drive over here?
No, I wish.
I don't either.
Do you have a license?
Not in this country, no.
Yeah.
Because my family left when I was 13. I never drove over here.
Right.
And it's very freaky to people because they're like, well, you're British. How do you not drive?
Yeah. I know. I want to be able to drive onto a ferry and go to France.
Yeah.
That would be nice. I really admire people who can drive. I know so many people can, but it's not a rare thing, but I find it so attractive, people driving.
I think that's Nice that you set your bar so
Yeah,
low.
super low. Yeah,
To be
anyone that can
admired
drive. Yeah.
by May, you just got to drive.
I think I like being in the passenger seat of a car. I love not being in control of where I'm going and someone else driving. Great, love it.
Do you find when you're in the passenger seat that you don't pay attention at all to the directions, so that if you ever did have to drive,
No idea.
know?
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friend was bugging me about that the other day. We'd done the same drive 100 times, and he was like, "Could you do this?" No.
Yeah.
I don't even remember if we go right or left at the beginning.
I've been talking the whole time. Yeah.
So we have these overlapping threads. So I'm determined to strike some sort of true friendship with you, May.
Great. I'm up for that. I'm so up for that.
You've already got an awesome apartment. So I'm like, how great to know someone with an awesome apartment in London. Our overlapping threads start with our, I believe, shared absolute love for Second City in Toronto.
Yes. Yeah.
Would that be correct? Have you got a special place in your heart for Second City?
Definitely, yeah. That's where I started, was when I was about 13 doing improv classes there, and then I took sketch comedy classes there and worked in the building and love it.
Was it the old fire hall building or
No, they'd moved to Blue Jay Way. Yeah.
Ah, the Blue Jay Way. I was pre Blue Jay Way.
Oh, really? You were old Fire Hall?
Yeah, Lombard Street.
Wow.
Old fire hall days.
Yeah, I think that was, it kind of ignited my, like, a fan. I'm a real nerd and a fan of things, and I got obsessed with this one show at Second City. It was like their main stage sketch comedy show, and I think I saw it over 200 times when I was about, I don't know why my parents let me go, but I would go all the time, and I would wait at the stage door, and I had like braces. I was just going in the middle of puberty, like just raging through puberty, and I went so many times. I loved it.
When you say 200 times, is this one of those people, oh, I did it a million times?
No, like more than 200.
Good
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
That's obsessive.
It was obsessive. Yeah. I wasn't on my own. I had two friends, and we were starting a sketch comedy troupe, and we were obsessed. And then they would let us in for free, and they'd give us free, Coke and like Coca-Cola.
Bed.
Yeah.
Stay there.
Yeah. So they kind of encouraged it, and then we just went. And there was a newspaper article like, oh, the weird super fans, and they, yeah, oh god,
that kind of qualifies as a weird super fan.
Yeah.
And what was the draw? What can you sort of articulate? What the magic was that was luring you?
I think I always, even as a kid, it just seemed like the most fun environment. Any kind of theater, and the ensemble cast all having fun and watching how it would change over the course of the run and seeing them make each other laugh, and so it just seems like absolute heaven, doesn't it? Like
it is
the
amazing.
best.
It is like magic.
Yeah.
I bet you it's 15 or 20 years before you. Oh, let's see, 13. I know we've got a good chunk of age between us, but it was early 90s, I think I was going to the Second City.
Wow, yeah.
And I felt I was going through a really difficult time, breaking up, horrible breakup. And it was the only good thing in my life was those improv classes. And I do what you did, not 200 times, but I go every night to the after shows that are the freebie
improv,
ones you can get in. And just there was this level of worshipping those people on the stage, like how incredibly talented they were.
And you go through the halls, and they have all the alumni photos on the wall, and it's just all the greats.
They are all the greats.
John Candy, Catherine O'Hara, amazing.
I mean, it's endless. Gilda Radner, Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, there was my mum's from Toronto, and she was like, that was her era. She used to go and see Martin Short and Eugene Levy, and I'm so jealous. She said they were like rock stars. Like,
yeah. I mean, you worked in the box office, right?
I did work in the box office. I mean, I did eventually get fired and banned from the building. So I loved it, and then I sort of became a reprobate in my older teens.
Okay.
And my parents got me banned.
What happened?
Well, they were worried that I was falling into a bad crowd. I dropped out of school, and I was just spending all my time there, basically. I don't know if I should say this.
I think you absolutely should.
Yeah, so they kind of stormed in and got me banned, because I was doing drugs, and I was So I had
At Second City?
yeah.
Tusk.
I know. So then, yeah, I had a long hiatus from there, but
So were you only 15 when you had that job?
16.
16, so you were just legal.
Just legal. I mean, yeah, just legal.
I think
yeah.
it's the legal work age, right?
Yeah,
It would have been
yeah.
probably then 16. And you, if I'm correct, you dropped out of high school at 15
Yeah.
to pursue comedy.
Yeah.
Which, can I just say, for a woman, you have the biggest balls of anyone I know.
Thank you.
That is incredible to know from so young what you wanted to be involved with.
Yeah, I really, I mean, it was a combination of, dropping out also just from laziness. And I was so behind in my work that I just thought, you know what, it's going to take so much work to get my grades up. So then, and then threw myself into comedy. And then at a certain point you think, I have no other qualifications, so I have to stick with this, I always, I don't know why I thought it was a viable career option. I think my dad really encouraged it when I was tiny. He used to be an actor, and and my grandfather was an actor, and the way his face would light up talking about it, I just thought that seems...
Oh, this is one of our other threads
Yeah,
that we have
great.
in common. Wasn't your dad a musician?
Yes.
Yes, so was my dad.
Oh, really?
There you
no
go.
way.
2 things we have overlapping. The friendship is forging.
What did your dad do?
He played bass in a band in Birmingham, and they never got famous, but they did have their moment in the limelight because now we're going way back to like 60s and 70s. Their band won a show in the UK that was the UK's equivalent of Star Search, and they won it 7 times in a row.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so they had a hit in the UK and Europe and stuff.
I wonder if he knew my dad, because my dad was in the UK.
What did your dad play?
Saxophone. Yeah.
That sounds really refined for the kind of band that my dad was in.
The bass players are always the coolest guys in the band. I mean, yeah, definitely.
I guess my mum thought so, although she used to refer to it as he plays bass, not a real guitar.
Not enough strength. My dad also had this band called, I mean, I don't know if it was a real band or a joke band. It was called Johnny Eagle and the Evil Smelling Stink Show. And they used to go and play universities, and he was Johnny Eagle. And yeah, I mean, what a name. And there's these photographs of him in a silver jacket with he's wearing eyeliner like David Bowie.
Huh.
Like, I would give anything to see Johnny Eagle in the Evil Smelling Stink
to perform. Well, coincidentally, my dad's band was called Johnny Neal and the Starliners.
No way, what?
Which is equally kind of a sort of funny little name, the Starliners.
What is it? The Starline?
Yeah.
I wonder if they cross paths.
Well, I'll have to ask.
Imagine if they were rivals.
Well, I mean, your dad would have had to have gone to Birmingham because my dad, that was their scene, was the Birmingham scene. They opened for big bands. When big bands came to Birmingham, they opened for like The Who and Ozzy Osbourne and Queen. These people. My dad has all these juicy stories like Freddie Mercury coming into the green room and peeing while he's walking in.
No.
Just to kind of mock their green room, but in a good spirit, because I'm sure everybody was plastered out of their skull. It was not with malice, it was with humor. This is where the opening act is hanging out. Let's piss in here.
Oh, I feel like people used to do wilder things
People
like
used
that.
to piss a lot more.
Yeah, people used to piss a lot more. Like, imagine if that happened now. That would be people would be horrified.
Oh, I know. The last pissing thing I can remember was Somebody peed on the Walt Disney statue.
Oh, really?
And I can't remember. I'll have to look it up now.
Instantly shot.
Yeah, it was something, I guess, political. Yeah. But I digress. So there's a thing in common number 2 that we have on my plight to become best friends with May Martin.
I mean,
in 1 hour or less.
You're not going to have to try very hard. I'm always up for best friends.
I mean, you've already made me a coffee, so as far as I'm sold.
Do you want a banana? Do you want?
Maybe at the end of the show I'll have a banana. Yeah. Actually, that's in the morning. I have a banana every morning, and this morning I didn't have one.
So you really feel it when you don't have one, don't you?
Yeah.
It's true. If I don't have a banana, it's a bad day.
Is that what you have every morning then?
Oatmeal and banana.
God.
Although last night I had a late night last night, and and then I had a burger, McNuggets, fries, then got home and had a whole tortellini meal.
Wow.
It was a real mistake.
Is this where love starts, Mary? I have a banana for breakfast. No, I do.
That's my main requirement in friends. So if I come to stay with you, are you going to be well stocked?
I so will be well stocked.
Good. Did you know that picking bananas is like one of the most dangerous jobs in the world?
I did not know that.
Yeah, like the percentage of people, like the mortality rate of banana pickers is very, because you got black widow spiders, you've got high up trees. It's very dangerous. I mean, you should check those facts. I may have made it up, but I think I read that somewhere.
I'm going to make up a fact. I think iPhone assemblers, those are the most dangerous job, because they seem really overworked and depressed.
Totally.
Maybe that's over now. I don't know.
No, I think
but
it's still a thing.
Hardcore. Yeah.
Things like that come into the news and then they just disappear and we just keep using our phones.
Yeah. Have you ever been to China?
Yeah.
Yeah. What took you over there? I have.
I went for I'm embarrassed to say because I don't think I even support this as a thing, but I went to the Olympics in Beijing. I don't think I'm pro Olympics.
Well, why did you go?
My dad got free tickets and and so we went. He was so emotional every time anybody won. He's British and he never cries. And then every time anybody won, he would cry.
Wow.
Because it is really overwhelming. You're in the big stadium and some Russian gymnast who's like worked to the bone wins and you just burst into tears. Yeah.
Have you made your dad cry with some accomplishment or great disappointment?
I think in the disappointment category, he cried, oh God, it's hard to relive. He cried when I got this tattoo. It says oatmeal. And I thought it was so funny. And I came home from...
Wow, you really do have a tattoo that says oatmeal.
Yeah.
In a really public place too.
It's
not on a hip or anything. It's right on the wrist where everybody could see.
I got it when I was 16, came home and he cried. And I've never felt worse. Yeah. He said it just ruins my image of you graduating in a white dress, on your graduation, but I was like, I think I ruined that when I dropped out of school.
And would you have even worn a dress?
I wouldn't have worn a white dress.
So it's already popped. That bubble popped a long time ago.
Yeah.
Why did you get the oatmeal tattoo?
I thought it was so funny in the moment, and it did get a great response from my pals, and then it's been just a little bit less funny every day since. So. But I don't mind it now. Like aesthetically, I don't mind it, but yeah.
It also is the tattoo of the reflection of the word oatmeal, right? Is it both?
It's a double, yeah.
It's a double image.
So it looks kind of like it could be just like
an alien symbol, kind of.
Exactly. That's what I should
You
say
have to be quite close to you to read oatmeal. Do people question you on that a lot?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. I just went through a phase where I got tons of tattoos in my teens. Do you have any?
I don't. I kind of would like one.
No, not having any is the new having some.
Interesting.
Yeah, don't. Because once you start and you realize how easy it is, then you've opened the floodgates.
Did you have a problem with the pain of tattoos?
They don't hurt that much,
What? I've heard people have to take Vicodin and get drunk and all sorts to get tattoos.
I don't know. Maybe, you go numb quite quickly. And the adrenaline as well, that is so, yeah.
Do you like that part of it?
Yeah, definitely. It's such a buzz, yeah.
Wow.
I haven't got one in a few years.
So you said it was what did you say, my peeps? Or your friends that had the tattoos? Did you feel that you were you a bit peer pressured on that front?
No, I think I
you were the bad influence.
I think I initiated it, yeah.
Okay.
But my friends were all getting but they were getting really meaningful things, but I think they're meaningful to you now, but then you're, in a few, so I thought if I get something with no meaning to me, my feelings about it won't change.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I can get behind that logic.
Okay, good.
Okay,
thank God.
You won me over there with
Please
that logic.
convince my dad.
Did your mum not have a problem with that tattoo?
Yeah. I mean, it was a tumultuous time, I think, yeah.
Your parents sound amazing. I mean, I read something and it almost made me want to cry that they said when you were younger, they wanted you to grow up and fall in love with a human being.
Yeah, they were great about sexuality. Really good always.
I mean, how progressive
really
is
good.
that?
I know.
I've never heard of that, a parent saying anything like that before.
Isn't that mad that we've never heard of that? That should be what you say.
I'm sure it will be in the future.
Yeah.
Like you can feel the shift happening.
Definitely.
And fibers being worn down.
Yeah.
You know? But this journey, I mean, it's always interested me, anybody's journey where they have hardship. And I cannot compare my own hardships in my life, although I've had plenty. But the thing that I feel I might connect to is this feeling of often feeling like a misfit, because I was uprooted so many times from when I was young, and with my accent, moving to different country and different schools a lot. I just never felt like I fit in. I always felt, and to some degree still do. I mean, how early in your life did you start to feel, oh, this probably might not be an easy road for me?
In terms of sexuality?
Yeah.
Well, this is the remarkable thing, is that it was an easy road for me. This is why I'm so lucky, I think, is that it never was, because my parents never even commented on it or made an issue of it. I went to quite a liberal school, and then I found the comedy community really inclusive and progressive. So I never really experienced any. It was sort of incidental until my teens, and then stuff being written about me, flagging it up. But it didn't feel like. It all felt quite relaxed. So I'm just really lucky, and I haven't really experienced homophobia until I moved here to England.
Oh, really?
and then sometimes on the street, like people saying things and shouting things. But because that only started in my 20s, I have this whole foundation of confidence around it. So I've just been really, really lucky. You never really know like what jobs you're not getting, because you're like, I only know what jobs I do get, you know?
Right.
So it's hard. Who knows if, I know sometimes if they're programming a bill or a comedy festival, they'll say, oh, we've already got a lesbian, you know,
right,
or something like that. But I've never, I've been pretty lucky. Yeah.
That's incredibly positive to hear that. I'm sure part of it is the city you grew up in.
Definitely. Toronto's amazing.
Yeah, I bet if you were in some rural Alberta cow town or something,
or in a different part of Toronto, or had different parents, or I just won the lottery in terms of like acceptance. And then moving here and seeing, meeting people here who've had really different experiences with it, that's been pretty eye-opening. But I do think it's important to, like, just in terms of like queer characters on TV and things, I think the story we always hear is about homophobia and like isolation. And so I'm trying to project a kind of more aspirational, positive thing about like how it should be. I'm trying to write a couple of things about groups of friends, like my friends, where it's sort of a non-issue,
right,
or it's more fluid and people don't. Like they did a survey. I'm sort of rambling here. Sorry.
That's okay.
They did a survey recently in the UK. I think it was almost half of people under 25 in the UK don't identify as gay or straight. They're like, why should I identify in any way? I think that's the future. Yeah.
Oh, it'd be nice and relaxed.
So nice. Yeah.
Relaxed and
great.
You could pick whatever clothing you wanted to wear. Well, this, funnily enough, you talking about TV, I bought this to show you because I have an office over at Pinewood, and I got to go to a big seminar event within the last year at Channel 4, and all of the heads of the TV networks in the UK were there. And they basically made an announcement and said, if we don't see 20% of both above the line and below the line, which means your on-camera characters and your producers and writers and, you know, personal assistants and stuff in these. And it wasn't just sexuality, it was also disability. There was a couple of other categories, but they were really hearty. And they basically said, if we don't see gay characters, we're not going to buy your show. And within a few months, I got this newsletter from Channel 4. And I just wanted to read you 4 shows to see what you think of it. So the first one is called Sex Diaries Trans Lovers. Heterosexual men declaring love for transgender women with male genitalia. So is that positive for the gay community to have a show like that?
Yeah, it's interesting that. I mean, visibility is always good, but then even some of the Channel 4 documentaries recently, and or there's that show about a young guy falling for a trans woman, and it does seem a bit sensationalized. It seems very much like a queer world through a straight lens, you know, a queer world for a straight audience who are kind of gawking at it. But you know, it's a step forward anyway. It's a step, but
well, there's more. So
okay.
the next one,
Oh, no.
the next one is My Transgender Summer Camp. This film has exclusive access to an American camp for transgender teenagers, where they and their families face huge dilemmas and decisions. So maybe that one's more on the educational.
Yeah, that seems
breaking down a barrier a bit, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you have to imagine being a trans kid at home and then turning on the TV and seeing that might be really helpful.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's
another one on the transgender kid. It's called My Transgender Kid. Look at this picture of this adorable child.
Yeah.
Which I guess, given that she looks like a girl, means she's probably a little boy, or born as a little boy. Our Born in the Wrong Body season continues with this remarkable film. A growing number of children identify as transgender. Here we meet two of them and their families.
Yeah.
Do you take that as positive, I guess, for...
Yeah, seems good. I mean, yeah, I think trans issues are hot button issues right now, and there's a lot more... because of Caitlyn Jenner and other people bringing a lot of, you know, shining a spotlight on trans issues. It's good. Yeah, it's definitely a delicate thing, though. I think you have to have trans people working behind the scenes as well to make sure the tone is right. Like, so that you, like, sometimes you watch those things and just the music they're choosing is so dark or it's so kooky or something, and it makes a joke out of it just from the editing and the music, you know what I mean? So I think, but I mean, visibility is great.
Well, the last one, I guess this would be your full visibility. Girls to Men. 3 Brits embark upon extraordinary transformations to fulfill their dream of becoming men. So that's just sort
that's
of a
interesting.
documentary.
That's all
Channel 4.
That's so 4 shows.
Yeah.
That is interesting. I know I read an article written by one of those trans guys in the Girls to Men show who was very upset about the title and about what had happened with the way his story was told. And so, it's delicate, but, you know, it's not black and white. There's definitely positives to it being told, but then anytime you're sensationalizing it like that instead of normalizing it is key. Like even the gay characters now on TV, they are sort of defined by their sexuality, but it doesn't feel like a massive part of my life, my sexuality. So I'd love to see characters where it's incidental and they don't talk about it incessantly, and they have more to them than that. Because you'll get a script and it's like, you know, John is an accountant. He's got a phobia of heights, and he's, you know, and then you know, Mary's gay. Alex is a thing. And that's all it says about them. Is there's like nothing about their
that's funny,
their personality.
Wow.
And, you know, so yeah.
I think
ways to go.
I've seen that kind of thing with breakdowns with and she's British. And that's it. It's just one label we can slap on. They're all the same. All those Brits are the same. So why do you think society has such a built-in culture of labeling?
Well, I think it makes sense that we like to label, or we like to put things in categories, clearly defined categories, so that we can understand complex ideas more easily. But they're, I think most labels, if you put them under a microscope, are pretty reductive and a lot of, and sort of bulldoze over a lot of the nuances of whatever that idea is. Sorry, I'm so croaky.
Do you smoke cigarettes?
I don't. I don't, unless I'm very drunk.
Because that was so... And were you very drunk last night?
Yes. Yeah.
Because it so sounded like a smoker's cough. So you had cigarettes last night?
I had 1 cigarette last night.
I knew it, young lady.
I smoked all through my teens, and then I gave up. Do you smoke?
Well, I had a cigar last night.
What?
Yeah, I like cigars. And it's funny because I don't really smoke cigarettes. I went through a phase in Toronto, actually, of smoking at karaoke when you used to be able to smoke. But it was short-lived because I also have a bit of asthma. So the two don't go very well. But last night I saw this film called Kill Your Friends, which was made at Pinewood. and everybody smokes all the way through the movie because it takes place in the 90s. And I was like, how is everybody smoking in restaurants in this movie? And my friend's like, well, because it's 1994 or something, 97. And I really wanted a cigarette.
Yeah.
I find that. Do you find you're suggestible when you see people smoking on TV?
Yeah, definitely.
God, I do.
Mad Men.
Oh, yeah. I was like, God, I just could have a cigarette. And I'm not a smoker, so I had a cigar when I came home, a little
Where
cigar.
did you get a cigar?
They're really easy to get. I got this little pack in Edinburgh, a little pack of Macanudos. I was there a couple of weeks ago doing that comedy sketch thing. And they had nice little cigar shops. And now that the whole, I guess, embargo on Cuban cigars is gone, you can get Cuban cigars.
Great.
So I got some Macanudos. So.
Do you inhale cigars?
No, you don't. But you still get a buzz because the nicotine goes through the portals of your mouth that are there somewhere.
The portals of your mouth.
I think they're under your tongue or something. That's what my dad used to say. Lift your tongue up and you'll get more nicotine. Advice from a musician father.
That's great advice. I remember my mum smoked, and my dad, when I was growing up, and I remember her saying one time, I just love smoking. It's so fun. It's so great. Really glamorizing it.
When you smoked, did they have an issue with it?
Yeah, I used to steal cigarettes from my dad and say, I'm just going for a walk. Like, what kid goes for a walk? Like, just goes for so they knew for sure. And they did have a problem with it, but then eventually they sort of gave up and stressing about it.
My parents used to smoke with me.
Yeah, same. Eventually,
when I was young, because were your parents young when they had you?
About 30, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine were really young, about 21.
Really?
Yeah. And so they were still so young. They were still partying upon my arrival. So I just became an accessory to the party when I was about 10.
Oh, you were the party baby.
Yeah. I knew how to make a rum and coke when I was 5. You know?
Oh my God, that's awesome. My mum's parents were the same, super young partiers. And they said that, or they used to mix martinis in the washing machine.
Oh my gosh.
They'd have huge house parties, fill the washing machine, which would have been an old fashioned, fill it with vermouth and all that, and then turn it on to mix it.
Holy smoke.
Pretty good.
That sounds the most epic party move I think I've ever. Next to killing somebody, I think that's the most epic thing that could happen at a party.
Really impressive.
I feel like I want to try this now. I want to elect somebody to do this with their washer. And yet there's a small element of grossness to it.
Well, yeah, when you think about the residue
of your underwear in there, handkerchiefs and
yeah.
Did you not ever want to be musical? Well, you are musical with the guitar, I guess, but was that a big burning thing for you, the music?
If I was 20% better at music, I would have definitely tried to be a musician.
Okay.
Not 20%, 80% better. I love it. Yeah. Doesn't it seem so appealing to be able to express your emotions without irony?
I mean, music, I think it's the one that covers all others. I think music excels in expression.
It's amazing.
Over every other means of communication.
It's just direct access to people's hearts and emotions, isn't it? You can just...
Yeah, it actually literally is a direct access to the heart. Slightly segue, I had a near-death experience in 2012 that was really sci-fi and all this scientific information. I started to speak scientific information.
What?
Totally sci-fi. But the main message was that sound can heal everything. Sound is the answer. Music is the key.
Way.
Music is the key, literally. So I did tons of research into sound healing, and there are scientific experiments now that are documented where if you play, you understand the music interval of the fifth. So it's 5 notes apart for people who aren't musical. So C, D, E, F, G. If you play the C and the G together, that interval is called a perfect fifth. And when they've played that to people, your blood releases nitric oxide, which actually goes through your body, policing little bad things in your bloodstream and your arteries and stuff. And it's incredibly healing, literally physically healing. Doesn't just make you think, oh, I feel kind of relaxed now. It's actually doing something to your body. And that's just one musical sound comprised of 2 notes. So imagine the healing powers of understanding. People are doing research in curing cancer. There's a guy
with sound and the
with sound
vibrations
tuning forks. And if you think about it, it's so logical. You know how an opera singer can sing and break a crystal glass. So that's because she matches the frequency of the crystal glass and it can't handle it. Somehow she breaks it apart, which, by the way, there's a lot of conspiracy theories about 9/11 involving sound and structures, which you can have a Google. I'm not purporting these, but I'm saying I found those along the way with my sound healing research. So there's a guy called Fabien Marmont, and he has found the resonance of a cancerous tumor, and he plays the musical note, which rings a bell. It was E sharp. And he's got videos online and photography where the tumor breaks away from the organ. Yeah, just from the frequency of a certain musical note. I'm very geeky on this. I did a lot of research.
So interesting. I'm really into like meditation and chanting and that monks do, and how they've measured that can alter their brain waves and their alpha and gamma waves, right? And amazing stuff. That's wicked. So C and G, or
perfect fifth, yeah.
Maybe I'll get it tattooed. That'll be my next tattoo. That's amazing. Well, I know people do like humming therapy, right? Where people hum into certain points in your body. And
well, here's another humming thing, is when, similar to cats, and I've always been one, when I get needles at the dentist, I always hum. Or when people take my blood. And I never knew why, but it's an instinct with me. I go,
Really?
Yeah. And I, just kind of figured everybody did this, but I didn't understand why it was so instinctual. And then I read that cats purr, not always because they're happy. They purr when they're sick or wounded, because the vibrations of the purr begins the healing process in their body. Yep. And I realized when I read that, I was like, I'm humming the way a cat purrs, because I've got a physical, a needle coming into me. I'm being wounded, and my body's instinctively now trying to heal and also calm me and relax me with a hum.
Voices are so powerful too. Like, I mean, infants with their mother's voice, and there's so much. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Wicked. I have so much Googling to do after this conversation. I love that.
Yeah, I could probably geek you out with quite a bit of stuff on that whole sound healing thing. It was pretty amazing. There's a scientist I interviewed who I will be posting it at some point, and he's one of the pioneers in cymatics, which is making sound visible. And they play a musical note basically to a plate of sand, and the sand takes a shape. It animates and takes a geometric shape.
No.
It's so fascinating. There's tons of this on YouTube. As the frequency goes up, the sand shape becomes more and more complex. And they've showed it with other sorts of material. There's a NASA experiment where they show a bit of film, and literally the substance animates to the point that it becomes an erect form and looks like it's walking along. And you start to kind of think, okay, we are animations of vibrations. You can't.
I'm losing my mind.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
I need to see that happen though.
Yeah,
I need to see it. That's
Google
cymatics.
Cymatics with a C.
Okay.
So cymatics, and
I feel like we were more intuitive in the past, like in ancient Greece and Rome. Didn't they? Each planet had a sound and had a musical note, so 7 notes on the scale, and a shape, and they said that it was all to do with sound, the way they saw the universe. Yeah.
There is definitely a lost knowledge, for sure. That was one thing that came clear as I was researching all the sound healing, which was just the tip of the iceberg, by the way, of the information that was coming to me in my bizarre experience.
Did you have a heart failure?
No, I had a crash of blood pressure. I've always been a really fainty person. I fainted quite a few times, and every time I go to the doctors, they go, "You have really low blood pressure.
Yeah,
you shouldn't even be awake right now."
Right.
And so if I'm not careful, it can go low. And this one time it went freaky low, really freaky low. And I went ice cold. And I didn't realize how scary it was until I started to research, because obviously the crazy thing happened. And I had 2 witnesses with me, fortunately, as I'd never be able to talk about it. Who's going to believe that I started to speak scientific information.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I also saw a different environment around me, which I still haven't gotten to the bottom of, that was very scientific. Just an
In what way?
infinite grid of energy balls.
Amazing.
Literally like a lattice of vibrating balls of energy set against black that just went on forever.
Oh my God. Have you seen Interstellar?
Yes, I have. Yeah, absolutely. I saw a lot of documentaries and lots of movies after that. Also, Lucy was kind of similar.
What's that?
Lucy, I don't want to give a spoiler away, but Scarlett Johansson has something happen to her. I won't give it away, but it starts to change the perceptions she has with her body.
Great.
So you'll love this then. Okay, and I want to get on with you because I don't want this to be hijacked with science and quantum physics. But the opening sentence of my science blurb that came out, and I had no scientific background whatsoever. I just lay on the couch, ice cold, and I just said, everything is an illusion. It is all our perception of an infinite range of frequencies and vibrations.
Oh my God. I mean, I agree.
Well, it's as I found out, it's the truth.
Yeah.
Do you know the Canadian?
That just came out of you.
Yeah, and then more for about 45 minutes, and I covered everything. Lots of topics.
God.
I mean,
and
lots of topics.
Did they record it, your friends?
Well, I was saying I would look over my shoulder and see them in the room, and then as I would turn forward, it was like watching. You know when you used to record, maybe you're too young, you'd record over VHS and you'd start, when they were old, you could see what was recorded before. So I would turn away from them and the image would shift to another image of this grid of energy balls. And I kept saying to them, you've got to remember this because I may not remember this. And all I could feel with every tiny part of my being was, this is
the truth.
So important. This is the truth. I've got a glimpse through the peephole of the universe here, and this is so precious. And I was terrified I'd forget. Fortunately, I didn't, and I wrote, and I've got a 20,000 word document on the whole experience.
Wow, I'd love to read it.
So maybe you can, because I mean, clearly we're on our way to becoming best friends. All right, so we digress. Let's get back to you. How on earth we just got onto that?
I mean, I've got nothing that can live up to that.
Well, you're still young. Oh, meditation. So you said, what kind of meditation do you do?
I don't really
don't have a thing
that much.
Okay.
I don't, but I'm interested in it.
Are you just claiming to be a meditator?
Yeah.
To be cool?
No, I'm just interested in it. I went to Nepal for 3 months and I did I meditated a bit there, but I saw something crazy there, which was I saw this monk who had been up in the Himalayas, and he'd been meditating for days, and he was burning hot. His body was he was radiating this heat in the room, and they were putting cold cloths on him that were steaming off of him. Yeah, and he was fine, but he'd been meditating, he hadn't eaten in days, and he was just radiating. And it wasn't like someone who has a fever. It was like it was insane. So that's the most kind of unexplainable thing I've had with seeing this monk. It was amazing.
Do you think he would have taken, because I mean, there's so much herbal stuff. One of my episodes was on ayahuasca. There's so many plant things people can take that affect the body on a very deep level. I mean, would he have taken something to raise his body temperature?
They said not. They said it was just transcendental meditation.
You got to trust a monk.
Yeah.
He says not.
I always find that, like, if I meditate if I try, then immediately after I want to reward myself with so much junk food and pop culture and like celebrity gossip. Like, I can't hold on to that purity.
You meditate and you get an Inquirer.
Yeah, I overcompensate after with junk for my brain.
I mean, I feel like, because you're so young and you're so accomplished, but you've done these really interesting things. I mean, to casually say, yeah, I went to Nepal for 3 months. I mean, how did that come about?
That came about because it was a good pivotal moment. I was like I was like fixing my lifestyle and getting healthy again after a tumultuous adolescence. And then, my parents, I'd been in rehab, and then they helped me go to volunteer in an orphanage. So I went and volunteered for a few months.
Wow. How was great. That?
It was amazing. It was really amazing. Yeah.
Did you find volunteer work very healing?
I mean, it's pretty heartbreaking, but yeah, definitely. Oh, to just get out of your own brain.
Yeah.
And meet people with actual problems.
I've done volunteer work with my dog, and I found it like it would almost feel selfish because it felt so good to do it.
Oh, right,
the
yeah.
feeling you get in your heart when you can see someone else's spirits raised a little.
You would take your dog to...
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
me and my dog trained in LA for about a year. It took us to pass the test to go into hospitals together. And he's the one, it's him. I'm just the delivery mechanism of the dog into the patient's room. But the difference is remarkable.
Really?
Yeah. It's a whole program called petpartners.org. And they partner a lot of rescue dogs, actually, go through the training, and then they go, and it lowers people's blood pressure, but it really lifts people's spirits.
Oh my God. There's some poem about, I met this poet, and he has a poem about the difference in a room when there's a dog in a room.
Yeah.
How different the room feels when a dog comes in.
Yeah.
And it just changes the whole, and it just lifts the whole environment, and everybody's eyes just go to the dog, and they're like pure goodness, aren't they?
They are exactly pure goodness.
Yeah,
That's
just
how
not
I feel.
malicious. Like,
there's a guy who's a big executive in America now called Paul Telegdi, and I met him when he was working for BBC Worldwide, and they used to have a certain day each week where everybody brought their dogs to work.
That's so
and
nice.
I thought that was amazing. Like, that was so cool to do that.
That's
you know.
great, yeah.
I take my dog to my office.
Great.
Sneaky
What kind of dog?
He's just a little mutt he held from a parking lot, but he's predominantly Chihuahua, but much more handsome. So you would like a dog, though, yourself?
Oh my God, I would give anything. I think I travel too much, though. But I would love a dog.
You could get a little dog and travel with him. I mean, I travel with my dog.
I wouldn't want to put them on a plane, though.
But if you get a little dog, I mean, for domestic flights, the dog can go at your feet in a little bag.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm making excuses. I want a dog for a few days a week. That's what I want.
You need to date someone who has a dog.
100%.
Yeah, and then break up but have custody over the dog.
Totally,
like visitation rights to the dog.
My dream is to date someone with a baby and a dog.
Aww.
Yeah, so then I can just breeze in and out, get some hugs.
Is that a horrible question to say? How does that work with, two women together? Is there a big debate of who would have the baby, or is it always kind of an obvious which one is? I mean, if both people are maternal,
yeah,
do sometimes both women have a baby?
Yeah, I think that happens. I think there's so many different ways you can do it, right? You can adopt, you can have a surrogate, one of you can have them, you can have a known donor, you can have an anonymous donor. There's 100 million different ways. And you know what, they're just experimenting with putting the genetic material from one egg into a male sperm, removing the genetic material from a sperm, putting the... So basically you could have two women's DNA combined.
That's incredible.
It's pretty crazy what they can do, yeah. But I think it depends, yeah.
That's amazing. That would be amazing for people. How amazing would that be?
It would be amazing.
And would you ever have a baby?
I don't know. I want a baby in my life, but I don't know I don't know. I've never really had an urge to have a baby. No. I remember my dad talking about, like, when my parents would tell the stories of our births, I would always really identify with my dad's role in it. I'd always, even when I was too little to know that I was doing this, but I would imagine being the person pacing in the hallway.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't picture myself having a baby. I've never been able to picture myself having a baby.
Yeah, I'd be worried about the hormonal, like, I feel like I'd get super down. I don't know. I think I don't know. Maybe though. It depends on who you're with. I might meet someone and...
You might want to have their baby.
Totally.
Because I think that happens.
I think if I end up with a man, then I'd be much more tempted.
If you end up with a man.
Yeah.
So you're still open to this.
Yeah, I date men and women, yeah. Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Is it?
It is really interesting.
I don't know.
Because I haven't dated a woman. My closest encounter with a woman was, I used to work for Playboy for a long time, and I was at the Playboy Mansion and a girl kissed me. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking how completely unoffensive it was. Whereas had a guy have come and kissed me, I'd have thought, how dare he just come up and kiss me? Like, what? That's totally sexual harassment. But because it was a girl, it seemed so harmless. Like, I wouldn't have told her off or anything. And it was so, like, it was pleasant because girls are so soft. I was like, whoa, everybody should try this just to really be able to make their mind up. It was so much softer than kissing a guy.
That's interesting.
It had never occurred to me that there was no whiskers with the girl, so it was quite a surprise.
I talk in my show about, I think the older I get, the further down the list of priorities gender gets in terms of what I'm looking for in a partner. Right? There's other more important things. And if you look at previous times in history when society's been quite functionally bisexual, like, and I think it's largely a cultural and environmental thing. I don't think everyone's bisexual, but I think a good number of us fall somewhere in that spectrum in the middle. So I think, and also as soon as you kind of open your mind to it and start seeing everybody as an individual and potential person, then it gets a lot more fluid.
Well, a lot of a relationship as well, especially as you get older, is the companionship.
Right.
It's can I really feel comfortable with this person?
Right.
Share a life with this person?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm getting some mail.
Oh, is that the mail?
Yeah.
It's the mail. No pun intended.
Can I check
go for it.
What my mail is? I'm really excited. I'm waiting for a bunch of packages.
Oh, I love exciting packages coming. Even if they're not mine. May's gone to check the packages from the mail.
I got a package.
What's your package?
Oh, Christmas lights.
Oh, it's all busted open.
Yeah, it's all broken open. What?
20 fairy lights with clear bulbs have just arrived.
I'm going to complain that it's busted open, but yeah, that's great.
You could probably get a partial discount, can I just say?
I ordered these last night and they're here today. How amazing is that?
What?
Yeah.
Where did you order them from?
Amazon. They do now Amazon Prime and Amazon Prime Now, where they come within hours.
Good God.
I know.
Oh, and it came by a person, not a drone.
Yeah, I want a drone. I'm desperate to have something delivered by drone.
Is that really why you ordered these lights?
Yes, I was hoping for a drone.
Is that why you were on the street when I came to find you?
Staring at the sky? I don't understand if they can make drones that can deliver, because they're doing that now, right?
Yeah.
Drones that deliver packages. Yeah. Why can't they make drones that can take the weight of a person and can drone you?
Well, I suppose they can.
Can I travel by drone?
Well, probably one day, maybe.
You can have a drone pick me up at my door, take me past Big Ben. So beautiful. Well,
what I don't understand is if they've got all this drone stuff, why aren't they just constantly droning food and water to people who need food and water? That would be
That's a very good question.
Edinburgh, which came up in our conversation, I wanted to ask you a bit about Edinburgh. Well, that was such a horrible segue.
No.
I felt like I just came down with a sledgehammer from Christmas lights to... We'll talk about Edinburgh. Edinburgh is something very elusive to me, as in the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. I just got to go there, but not for the Fringe. You've done it. Have you done it like 3 times?
5 times.
5 times?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I love it. I love it so much.
So... when I looked into doing it, I found it really overwhelming. I found it confusing. Oh my gosh, how do you even get a venue? How much is this going to cost? It seems exorbitant to get a little room to stay somewhere.
Yeah,
you're supposed to hire a publicist and pay flyer people. How, at your tender age, I guess, is this 5 years ago then?
Yeah.
So you'd be 20 when you first went up?
23?
How old are you now?
28.
Oh, I thought you were 25.
No, yeah, 28.
Oh. Gosh, you look so young.
Thanks.
It's that healthy. It's that healthy occasional smoking lifestyle.
Yeah, I have the voice of a 40-year-old chain smoker, but I don't smoke, guys.
Just last night, and when you have a lot of alcohol.
Yeah.
Which I want to come the next time, and then I can have
a cigar.
I can have a cigarette, really, and just say only when I drink a lot of alcohol with May.
Yeah.
So, how is it not intimidating for you when you wanted to go to do the Edinburgh Fringe?
It was really scary that first time because I just moved to England and I didn't really know anyone. And so I pretty much hung out with the handful of Canadians who were doing it as well. And then met so many people there. It's like summer camp for comedy. It's really stressful, but it's definitely doable. You should definitely do it.
Well, I want to do it.
You'd have a great time.
I definitely want to do it. Do you know Paul Meyerhog?
No.
Oh, he's a Canadian. Who are your Canadians that you buddied up with when you got here?
Don Whitwell was there. I know this year Mark Farrell was there, and Sean Cullen and a couple of, but Don Whitwell that year.
So did they kind of show you the ropes then of how you go up to Edinburgh?
No, we were all
Brand
new.
new.
Yeah. So yeah, it's all on the Ed Fringe website. You got to just take a punt and do it. And when you get up there, it's not that tough.
But I mean, for starters, how did you even select a venue?
Well, that was a problem the first year. I did the free Fringe, and because I'd never been to the city before, they assigned me a venue, and I looked at the map and thought, yeah, that seems central, and it was way out in the middle of nowhere. But people came still, and it was good. Yeah, all the free Fringe venues are pretty great now, and there are ways to do it cheaply because the venue's free. You're paying for accommodation, entry in the brochure, flyers, and flyers. And you can spend just,
Like how much is the minimum you think you can spend?
You could have a good Fringe and spend about £1,500 and then make that back in the bucket.
That's pretty good then.
It's doable. I think the model is shifting there, where the free Fringe is becoming more viable, and people are putting money in the bucket, and audiences are coming. And
so did you have to organize all the flyering people, or is that part of paying for whatever you pay for?
I had to do it.
You had to organize that.
Yeah. You find some students, or you do it yourself. Yeah.
I mean, that sounds a pain.
No,
I'm not 50 million people giving flyers out.
You have to find some kind of stunt you can do to attract attention.
Like, what did you do?
I didn't do any stunts. I just paid flyers. Yeah.
Did they do any stunts?
No, but it builds, I struggled for numbers the first few years, but then, by this year, it's built, and I love it. It's so rare to have an opportunity to do an hour of comedy every day. You come out of it like so much stronger.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love the sound of that so much.
Yeah, and you can do guest spots, and you meet people, and it's like camp. It's like summer camp.
I'm so doing it.
Do it, yeah.
So doing it. So are you just going to do it every year now? Is it a thing for you?
I think I'm going to take a break this coming year. I think 5 is enough for a while. And I really liked my show this year, and I don't want to rush into another one. It's the first time I felt really like I have a finished product I'm really proud of. So,
what's the lowest turnout you had at any of your shows?
I've definitely had to cancel some in the first few years because nobody came. I did it to 2 people once, and they were both reviewers.
Wow.
So that was really bleak.
Wow.
But they were nice. They reviewed it as if it had been a full room, so that was nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
God.
It's a lot of eye contact when there's 2 people in the room.
That's a lot of eye contact.
A lot of pressure for them to laugh.
And once you've said, where are you from?
Yeah.
I did the Camden Fringe was my sort of foray into it. I don't know how you felt, but when I came back to the UK, because I was away for a long time, it seemed like in this country more than any other country I'd been in, all comics just go do an hour in Edinburgh. Or at some fringe festival.
Yeah,
it's part of what comics do over here.
So different to how it works in Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd been in the States doing comedy for many years, and it had never even been suggested to go and do an hour show anywhere.
20-minute sets.
Yeah. And so I thought, wow, well, I guess to fit in here, I need to do a one-person show. So I did the Camden Fringe, just to kind of get my teeth wet. Because as I say, truthfully, I found the Edinburgh thing really overwhelming. I even bought some guy's book, How to Do the Edinburgh Fringe. Like, I was so nerdy, and I was even more overwhelmed when I read the book. It was so much more I hadn't even thought of.
Right.
I hadn't even thought of paying people for flyers.
So that put you off?
Yeah, so that actually put me off a bit. But the Camden Fringe, one night I had 7 people come out. And it's a bit disappointing.
It's bleak. Yeah, that's
a bit
tough.
bleak.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
The Camden Fringe seems cool, though. I'd like to do that.
So when you did your first Edinburgh, other than making great friends and really refining your comedy chops, did anything come of it?
Yeah, usually all my work during the year comes from Edinburgh, from people, because the whole industry goes up there, and bookers and promoters, and so for me it's been worth it. I think if you don't live in the UK, it's maybe not as worth it because you're spending a lot of money, But if you're gonna settle here, it's a great way to get work.
So even at some little free fringe show that you did that wasn't even central, you still got like a year's work almost from it.
Well, Yeah, as the years went on,
More
and more. That first year was kind of just about becoming a better comic. I think.
Right.
Yeah, I think you have to go in with just your expectations being, I'm going to come out of this with way more material and feeling super confident about dealing with any kind of audience.
Yeah.
Because you get all kinds of audiences too.
Did you get any drunken audiences in Scotland?
Always, yeah. I was at that first year. I was at a bar called the Rat Pack Piano Bar, and it was like just their regulars coming in, and they were so drunk. So it was a lot of crowd control. But
yeah,
I don't mind that. I think I never have hostile drunks. I just have very involved drunks who just want to answer every rhetorical question and get involved.
Have you got any horror stories on stage?
No, I mean, I've been pretty lucky. I think my vibe on stage is quite like vulnerable and open, so people are worried if they heckle me, I'm gonna crumble. But no, I've been, well, actually in Edinburgh, I did one show. It was at 4 a.m. in the BBC tent. They did a marathon, like 12 hours of comedy.
Wow.
As a kind of novelty thing. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking would happen, but it was just hammered people in the audience. And it was about 4 a.m. and I walked on, and before I even said anything, this Scottish guy said, "What are you doing? What are you doing, lass?" And I thought, I don't know what I'm doing. It was like really threw me into like an existential, like, I have no idea actually. But I hadn't even said anything yet, and he just took against me right away. What are you doing?
So what are you doing?
Yeah, in my life?
Yeah,
like God, I mean, we're all just trying to get out of bed in the morning, aren't we? Yeah.
Is that hard for you to get out of bed in the morning? Like, are you one of those? Oh.
Yeah, mornings are my worst time, I think. Mornings, I'm good at night. Mornings, I feel quite anxious in the morning. And then I have to pee, but then I don't want to get out of bed. And so I have about 45 minutes, like, working up my courage to go pee.
Can I just say, life-changing thing for me was getting the dog.
Yeah, because you have to get up.
Yeah, and it's also, he runs in the morning and he's so ridiculously happy. Because that's what dogs are. Dogs are, if you treat a dog nicely, which everybody should, they are ridiculously happy.
I want one.
I mean, you just turn around so that he doesn't see your face for 5 seconds and the dog is celebrating when you're facing him again, you know. It was such a life changer, so I wouldn't rule out the getting the dog.
Well, you know that website, Borrow My Dog?
I have not heard of this website.
You can Borrow My Dog or something. So you can do that, and then you can look after someone's dog for the day. And I might do that, I think.
Wow. I mean, having a dog in the morning, I mean, I used to have it would be hard to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
My whole life would be assessed with, what am I even doing?
Yeah.
Why? Give me one reason I should get out of this cozy, warm bed. You know, nobody's even going to notice if I don't get up.
What I need to do is stop going online the second I open my eyes, I'm on my phone. And then the first thing you see is bad news, right? So I open my eyes and I'm reading death tolls and like the world's going to end. And then it's, So I think I need to get up, no internet for at least 2 hours.
And avoiding the news. I hate to say it.
But then it's tough because you want to know what's going on. Yeah.
I think if at least on Twitter, anything, this is the way I see it. And a lot of people might think this is horribly ignorant, but I'm sensitive.
Yeah.
And my whole day will be ruined if I see a nasty news story. And I can't help how I am. So I avoid the news, but I'll check Twitter every day. And anything major will be on Twitter. If something terrible has happened in the world, it's going to be on Twitter that the zeitgeist knows about.
Right.
That's kind of my theory on the news thing.
That's interesting. Yeah, my mum doesn't read the news. She has a hard time because if she turns a page and there's no warning, and then there'll be some photograph there, some horrifying thing.
Especially in this country.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
This country seems to pride itself, the media, on horrific news, horrific imagery, gruesome taglines, headlines, you know.
Yeah.
But one of the things actually I'm having a hard time with, this is going to probably sound silly, but it's really horrible, is the roadkill on the roads here.
Oh, right.
There's so much roadkill because I live out in the countryside kind of thing.
Oh, and they don't clean it up?
Well, I guess they do, but every day there's new dead animals.
Oh,
and
no.
and they're big. I mean, I'm talking big foxes and big furry animals. And In one short 10-minute journey, I'll see 4 dead animals.
That's horrible.
I know, it's awful.
I dreamt last night that I had a hedgehog, a pet hedgehog.
Oh.
Yeah. It was so real, the dream. I could feel it. It's a little tummy.
Well, I just read there are only 1 million hedgehogs left in the UK.
I read that.
I read it too.
Well, but I read it.
Strand number 3 we have overlapping to forge the rope of friendship. We both read about the 1 million hedgehogs because they're all being run over.
How do they protect them?
Well, they have to build a little fence all along every road in England, in the UK. I can't help but call it England sometimes because it was called England when I lived here when I was like a kid, and then it changed and became all forged together,
Yeah. I've been heckled for calling it England.
Yeah, people don't seem to like it.
They don't like it.
But I'm still a bit confused because there's so many names, it seems, because I'm still a tad confused on the Britain-UK front.
Me too. No idea. Absolutely. I just avoid it completely.
I came back for one visit, 10, 15 years ago, and it was now Britain, and now it's the UK.
Yeah.
So. Have you met Russell Brand in your UK comedy exploits?
I haven't met him. We're the same agent, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I read his book, The Bookie Wookie, about being in the rehab for sex addiction. But
Right.
it was rehab nonetheless. And I just wondered what your experience was like with rehab and how you got to go to it. Like, what was the straw that broke the camel's back? Was it the oatmeal tattoo?
It was the oatmeal tattoo. I went to tattoo rehab. This was, in my late teens, and I had already kind of mellowed out and wasn't really using... how should I put this? Yeah, I had sort of lost touch with my parents. I moved out, and they'd kind of cut off contact because I'd been...
Naughty.
Yeah, I'd been very bad.
Very naughty.
Yeah, and then, so it was kind of, a way of patching things up with them. I thought I put myself in rehab there was a rehab day program for about 9 months. I was there, and it had school courses, and they taught you how to cook, and I was on welfare and living in this shit apartment and couldn't pay my rent. And it was just nice to have somewhere to go every day, and they would feed you. And
did it cost money?
no, it was free. It was covered by healthcare.
Huh.
Yeah.
Good old
That's
Canada.
Good old Canada. Yeah. And it was amazing. And they were really nice people. And it was eye-opening just because all the other kids had come from such tough situations. And it was like, oh God, I've really had an easy ride. I don't know why I'm behaving so badly when, so it was an eye-opening
And
thing.
why do you think you did behave so badly?
I wasn't very happy post-puberty, and then fell in with a bad crowd, and just have a pretty addictive personality, I think, and really threw myself into drugs pretty wholehearted for a while.
What sort of drugs are we talking about here?
Coke was my problem.
Okay.
Yeah. But then I stopped doing that, and I was just smoking a lot of weed, and yeah.
Now, do you have to, as somebody who's been through rehab, can you still have a bit of a puff of something every now and again, or do you have to stay fully off everything?
I stay fully away. I still go to Narcotics Anonymous meetings like every couple of weeks. But it's been years and years. Like, this is all I got it out of my system super young. That was maybe a good idea. So it's been a decade or something.
And of course, obviously, given that you're a little bit hungover, you don't have an issue with alcohol.
Don't have an issue with alcohol.
It's a little bit handy for you.
Yeah, no, I'd never, if I drink, I never have an urge to drink the next day kind of thing. It takes me a few days to,
Don't you find that you feel depressed the next day if you drink a lot of alcohol?
No, I feel kind of have a cozy feeling,
Oh, well, that's
kind of fuzzy feeling. Yeah, I'm sure I think if I drank a lot, I probably would.
You said in an interview once that you were grateful for how focused you were and for your clarity. And I was like, wow, again, for somebody so young. I've even got your exact quote here. You said, "Thank God I have so much focus and clarity." So I was curious, how do you get so much focus and clarity?
That's so funny. I don't remember saying that. But I think when I was young, I just knew what I wanted to do.
Still feel focused?
Yeah, I love what I do. So I guess I'm really lucky in that sense. I never think, oh God, maybe I should do something else. I love comedy. I think it became like an addiction when I was young. It was like someone had struck a bell, you know, in my brain when I first went to see my first stand-up show, and I love it so much. I think it's such an interesting medium. I'm a huge fan. I don't feel jaded about the industry yet. Like, give me 5 years, but yeah, I think it's amazing. I've met such good people. Just everybody's such a nerd. I love it.
A lot of people I know feel this, including myself, where comedy is like an addiction. Like, you would think, if I can't have this in my life, I don't want to live. Life isn't going to be worth living. What do you think it is that's that thing?
I think it's different for different people. What, in terms of performing or consuming?
Just what it is that's, when you say it's like an addiction, what is it? Do you think it's the thrill when you're on stage? Is it the immersion in a culture that is definitely its own culture, where if you're in comedy, you belong to a culture?
Yeah.
You belong somewhere.
Yeah.
Which was a big part of it for me. It was the first time I felt that I belonged somewhere.
It's a great community, and wherever you go in the world, you speak the same language. All the comics, right? There's definitely like a shorthand and a bond there immediately. But performing, I mean, it's just the adrenaline maybe, and the immediate, I mean, there's no better feeling than, especially when you think of something off the cuff, and then it's almost like you're not even saying it, it's just come out of your mouth, and you can surprise yourself. That's an amazing feeling. And watching comedy, I just, when someone says something, well, it's the same as any art form, you know, like reading a good book. At the end of the book, you think, I actually see the world differently than I did at the beginning of that book. That's permanently altered my perception of the world. And I felt that way with some comedy, where at the end of the set, I think, I'm different now than I was at the beginning of that set. Yeah, that's my favorite.
A growth. It sounds like with you especially, there's a growth that happens via your comedy.
Yeah. And I think, I just think it's the only way to cope with the, very sad world is to laugh about it.
Yeah, I put the word comedy for me with coping.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a coping thing. When you're prone to depression as well, or you're super sensitive, I guess I would say, just that I'm very, very sensitive to things. And so it is a way to be able to quickly write something to deal with it.
Yeah.
Who are your comedy idols?
Okay. Here we go.
She's smacking her knuckles.
Eddie Izzard was huge when I was a teenager. Those first few specials were amazing. French and Saunders, a lot of sketch people like Catherine O'Hara and people from sketch backgrounds. I love George Carlin, Louis C.K.
As SNL had much.
Tig Notaro, SNL.
I am in his trivia. I'm in Tig Notaro's DVD extras.
Really?
Yep, I'm in the audience as a screaming audience member at her talk show, along with Sarah Silverman and other.
That's amazing. Sarah Silverman's another one. I just love everyone, really. Kids in the Hall was huge for me in Canada, and SNL. Yeah.
And what's the dream career? Because comedy has so many branches with the improv and sketch, sitcoms.
Yeah.
What's your dream if you could forge, especially for someone like you who has focus? What is it that's the ultimate?
I think I always want to do stand-up and live comedy and tour. I'd love to do a DVD and seriously tour. I've never done a proper tour. I'd love to go away for months, and that would be amazing to get to the point where you're selling out big theaters. So I always want to do live stuff. But then I don't know. I've been writing more like dramas, like comedy dramas with a couple of people for different production. That would be amazing. I think if I was going to write something, it'd be more a very black comedy, like a. Yeah, so I don't know. There's nothing I wouldn't do,
You want to act as well, clearly.
Yeah.
Also, yeah.
Yeah, but I definitely want to keep doing live stuff forever. You can't replace it. There's nothing like it, right? It's so fun.
With having a relationship, especially that you want to have this dream person in your life and a baby, how do you think that's going to work when you're this possibly global star traveling around doing tours? Are you going to take them with you? Because, it's hard to have a relationship when you're touring a lot.
If I become a global sensation, I think I'll be fine. Yeah, I would cross that bridge when I come to it. Yeah, just for like a regular girlfriend or boyfriend, please, at the moment.
And a baby's a bonus.
And a baby would be a huge bonus,
or
please.
A willingness to have a baby or acquire a baby.
Yeah.
By some means.
Definitely. But I think I only want a baby a few days a week at the moment. So if we could do that.
Go to that website, borrow my baby.
Yeah.
And why, this is the last question then. What did the UK have that Canada didn't have that you've come and rooted yourself here to continue the growth of your comedy career?
I really love the sensibility here. I love British comedy. I don't know how you feel about it, but I grew up with British comedy because my dad's British, so I grew up with Monty Python and all that. Yeah, and then I had a British passport that made it a lot easier. Didn't have to get a visa or anything, and I had some family here, and I just love the pessimism, and I like the I love it. The self-deprecating and I love how self-deprecating everyone is. Yeah. It's great.
Well, you do a lot of that too.
I love it.
Well,
I feel like I've been very dry, but I'm sorry about that.
You've got nothing to apologize for. This is really interesting.
It was really nice to talk to you.
I hope you don't feel too grilled.
No, it was a great chat. Yeah.
I'll send you links on Cymatics.
Yes, please. Oh my God. I want to see that sand move with sound.
I'm going to send you the video of the sand moving. Well, thank you, Mae Martin.
Thank you.
You're so lovely.
So are you.
You're
Thanks
so
for
lovely.
coming here.
I feel like you're this person as well who's wise beyond your years.
Thanks.
Like the secret Buddha in the body of a stand-up comic, that if people listen to you, there's some deep wisdoms that they could glean.
Oh, that's
from
the
you.
nicest compliment I've ever had, I think. Thank you.
Right. Well, when I'm feeling confused in my life, I know who to call.
Call me up.
My best friend, Mae Martin.
We'll have a banana via Skype.
Okay, we're going to have a banana now. Mae Martin, isn't she awesome, right? I mean, I'm not kidding. She's really a cool human being, right? As always, bonus stuff at thegreyescape.com, where I'll post a video on cymatics so you can check it out for yourself. I'll put info on Fabien Maman. You can snoop about his experiments with sound healing cancer. And of course, a clip of the lovely Mae Martin. I don't know, guys, but I think we're best friends. Definitely, right? Best friends? She hasn't called me or emailed or even texted, and that just shows how much she respects my space, as a best friend should. I am always going to make sure I have an extra banana in case she drops by and she's hungry. She hasn't yet, but that's just because she doesn't want to disrupt my schedule. It's a real respect and a thoughtfulness in our very deep friendship. We are such close friends, I may never see her again. Thank you guys for listening. I am truly grateful that I'm here right now in your head. Yes, I am making frequencies and vibrations right now on your brain. If you have enjoyed this episode, please get on over to iTunes and subscribe, post a review, say how much you enjoyed the show, enjoyed Mae Martin, and whomever you choose to love. Be sure you love who you are, because there's only one of you. Thank you for listening. And thanks to Mae Martin. She's my sister and maybe my brother. I'll catch you next time on The Grey Escape.